What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, just before we get going here, I did want to mention I'm seeing an alert just now. Irresistible Brand's chocolate flavor flutes are being recalled due to undeclared peanut. I just thought I would mention that for anybody who happens to have this.
There's a peanut in my flute?
Yes, there is. Only if it's Irresistible Brand, that brand.
Shut up.
Yeah. So everybody out there with the Irresistible Brand chocolate flavor flutes, do not eat them if you have a peanut allergy. Always happy to have them.
Up until, and as I say, and that's why I keep coming back to this show, you learn something every day. Up until today, I never heard the expression chocolate flavored flute.
Yeah, we call them like thin cigars. You know which ones I'm talking about, right?
Oh, no, I wouldn't, but I've heard about it.
Of course not, yeah. Okay.
Of course I have. My friends talk about that.
Uh-huh. All right, listen, I'm not sure where to start today, so you tell me, where do you want to go on this?
All roads lead to Trump, Aaron. It's very, very easy, okay? Let's look at tomorrow. It's back to school for the National Assembly, and here was poor old, Francois Legault, getting beaten up by the big kids in the schoolyard, coming home every day, sobbing into his tomato soup, because basically, all the kids are picking on him. And now he's come back, and listen, he may be onto something here. He may come out swinging as, the father of the old Quebec nation and the bulwark, if you will, between the people of Quebec and that nasty Donald Trump. And even if it is somewhat removed from the reality, it is enough to sell politically, and it could burn off some of that gap. That how can I put it? That narrowing gap between the CAQ and the Parti Québécois. It's 9 points, and everyone goes, "Well, 9 points is a lot." Yeah, but it used to be like 11. So you know what? It is closing, and I think the closer we get to real stuff, as opposed to sort of speculating over sovereignty or whatever. And listen, as big an opportunity as this is for Legault to turn around and look like he's doing something, and he's going head to head with the crazy man down south. It's also a bit of a minefield for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, because on the one hand, he's still got this option. He's very honorable. He's never shied away from the fact we're going to hold a referendum in our first term forming a government. Well, I've got news for you. That does not look like a good idea, even if it happened next year. It's still, as long as Donald Trump is around, for sure, and as long as the world is this uncertain, I don't think people in Quebec will have anything to do with a sovereignty referendum. Its support still stands at about 37. It's not budging one way or another. And as I've said before, these surveys that have the PQ ahead, it's not so much they have the PQ ahead. They've got Francois Legault and the CAQ behind because of Francois Legault and the CAQ, double talking to people in various parts of the province, not following through on promises, and also really now sort of edging towards what smells very much like an almost liberal-like program of austerity. So you know what? Donald Trump may be having people lose sleep in Quebec. But for Francois Legault, I think he may be the best thing to happen to him in quite some time. We'll have to wait and see how he plays it this week, but I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to come out with guns blazing, Aaron, and a vote for Francois Legault and the CAQ is a vote against Donald Trump.
So, Jim, 2 points. Number one, with respect to the polling, you're right, 9 points, which is down from 11. Did you catch the second part of this poll that shows support for sovereignty is the lowest it has been since 2020? In fact, at 31%, right? It says it's the worst score for sovereignty since the pandemic bottomed out.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that, because I think I know what the sources you're getting that from. And what they did was that is the raw level of what you do, and you do that with all political polls. You have to redistribute with the I don't know, the undecided.
Yeah.
So actually, it stands at 37. The column right next to 31 says 37. And that's the number you go with, because theoretically those I don't knows or I don't answer could also be supporting. But that said, 37, it's like chiseled in stone, Aaron. So you know what? This is the problem. This is moving that needle for the PEC's self-described raison d'etre is going to be very, very difficult, especially now when people are worried about, I say about 8.5 billion things other than Quebec sovereignty.
You know, I just want to bring up one thing. I don't know if you happen to hear Renaud Brassard from the Montreal Economic Institute, right? This is something I never knew, and I wonder why this doesn't get talked about more. So we know that the federal government, now given what the Trump threats are and the fact they may come to fruition, right, wants to talk about interprovincial trade, which is one of those things that never understood why we have these barriers here. But it turns out Quebec has more barriers to interprovincial trade than any other province in the country by a long shot.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most protectionist markets in Canada. And you know, and I know, and I think our listeners know why. Because, you know, why be a part of Canada when you can build walls and have your own little nation and have your closed shops? Here's the problem. It's a global economy. And whether you like it or not, I don't care if you're a separatist, a so-called nationalist, a federalist, this idea that you can go it alone, oh, don't worry, we'll be fine. No, you won't. So this idea that, well, you know, we'll be able to weather this storm, not without help. And that's why I think it's I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not fun for Francois Legault. This is like going to the dentist every day and having teeth pulled, having to cooperate with the rest of the country, and yet here he is. And I believe next month he's scheduled to go down to Washington to meet with governors along with that wild and crazy premier, Doug Ford. So, you know, they say politics makes strange bedfellows. Well, so does necessity. And that's what we're seeing here. And the big question, Aaron, really is, will it be easy for Francois Legault, the CAQ, or indeed, you know, so-called nationalist Quebec to go back to the way things were once, hopefully, this stuff is over? Because let's face it, once you're in, once you dive into that pool of cooperation, of economic synergy, of having, you know, oh my God, can you imagine that? A single actual national economy from coast to coast? It's going to be kind of tough to go back.
Well, you know what? When people, depending, of course, on what happens with the Trump tariffs, I'm hoping this is one of those issues. As I said, I know they're going to convene, or they're planning to convene a group to get together and say, you know what, it's time we started getting along, if you will. So let's hope at least that begins to happen. The other thing I wanted to ask you today, Jim, I don't know if you saw the quote from Chrystia Freeland. I thought this was kind of rich. She represents, what is it, the non-Ottawa establishment as she's running to succeed Justin Trudeau.
Well, yeah.
So what do you think here?
The whole, there's, I mean, with all due respect to Ms. Freeland, I'm a fan, and I said so, but the fact of the matter is, there are two basic, pillars to her campaign. One, that I have nothing to do with Justin Trudeau. In fact, I don't much care for him, and in fact, he's the guy who caused me to do all of this. It's his fault. And the other thing is that she made it very clear last night on Tout le monde en parle. Her main political adversary is not any of the contenders for the leadership. Her main political adversary is Donald Trump. Right. And I got to tell you, that is a message, whether we like it or not, which is going to resonate. Remember, with all due respect to the pundits we have on this show, who will tell you, well, you know, he's got, you know, Carney's got all this support from cabinet. But in the end, it's the number of membership cards. In the end, it's who you convince, the rank and file, those people that you will never see at press conferences, who you convince to vote for you to be leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. And I got to tell you, I may be 100% wrong, Aaron, given the Trudeau experience, this latest Trudeau experience, I think that rank and file are going to be super careful about who they give their vote to come voting day.
So I would ask, and I'm just curious on your thought on this. So we know Mark Carney, turns out he was in and around Quebec for a while, right? He was there with François-Philippe Champagne. And this idea where he actually came out and said, yes, of course, I'm concerned with the decline of French in Quebec. And I thought, wow, now wasting a whole lot of time jumping into that debate.
No. Well, it's a bandwagon you have to get on, because if you don't, they'll turn around, especially TVA. And I think those are the first people who got him when he came to Quebec. They'll turn around and say, that'll define Mark Carney in Quebec. Mark Carney doesn't believe that French is in crisis, and blah, 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 blah. And the funny thing, of course, is the people who still read and watch and listen to the TVA network, the last thing they're worried about right now is the decline of French. They're absolutely terrified about their economic future, whether it's in French, English, or American, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, and it's so funny because whereas, you know, and just speaking of TVA, which whether you like it or not, is like it's a media powerhouse in Quebec. You're seeing all these handy dandy sort of like service pieces on, you know, how you can help with the American boycott. Here are these these items you don't buy, and it's like people have said it will make no difference as an individual. You know, you can boycott America all you want. they ain't gonna feel it. And in fact, it's so funny, Aaron, because I saw one of the suggestions was, well, you could cancel Netflix. And the thing is, of everyone I know, myself included, if you're canceling Netflix, it isn't because of Donald Trump, it's because of their damn rate increase. So, it's so funny how this idea all of a sudden it's become this kind of resistance chic where, this is what we'll do. I'll stop buying, Jiffy peanut butter or something. It's like, come on, get real. Support the government. Don't freak out. And whatever you do, I mean, obviously, if you can buy Canadian, you can buy Quebec, go ahead. But on the other hand, good luck finding it, because even when Quebec wanted you to find Quebec goods, I'm looking at you, Panier Bleu, they did an absolutely terrible job.
Just Panier, I think, was more like it.
Yeah.
I would just ask, by the way, thanks for, by the way, walking all over my question, which is how are you going to deal with this if you're going to stop buying American goods or services or whatever else?
Well, I'm sorry if I got my pulse on,
What do you listen? I got the Canada Dry. I said if instead of buying Pepsi or Coke, you buy Canada Dry, but Canada Dry is not Canadian.
Well, I know it's not Canadian, and it's like Timmy's isn't Canadian.
Well,
so,
no, why isn't Timmy's Canadian?
Isn't it only that the owners are in Brazil, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's better than the U.S. I mean, if you're going to do something,
oh, God.
You could buy Second Cup if you want. That's Canadian owned, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
You got to pick your poison, I think. So,
but you know what, folks, do your research.
Yeah.
But as I said, if it makes you feel better, by all means, But in the end, I got to tell you, Aaron, no matter what people say, with all due respect to our audience, I think no matter what they say publicly, I think their bottom line is, how much does it cost?
Yeah, I agree.
What's in it for me?
Yep.
And you know what? That doesn't make you less of a Canadian. In fact, given our shopping habits, it probably is what makes us perfectly Canadian.
I think it's time, as I said before when I asked the question, it's time for Canadian supermarkets to go ahead and, sort of cash in on this. Put Maple Leafs on everything that's Canadian so people don't have to spend the time doing all the research,
right? What? And that's an excellent idea. It wouldn't be expensive, and it would work.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
That's a man.